Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Fulani. And my guest this morning, Dr. Austin Nweze, lecturer, Pan-Atlantic University, friend and academic. Thank you very much for coming on.
Good morning, comrade.
Hey, that's me, that's me.
Yeah, comrade. Yeah.
And also Chuks Moko. Good morning. He's a comrade, but we don't put comrades too.
My comrade. My name is Chuks Moko.
And now you see, you know, people become comrades simply by adopting the part of the people and the masses. And before you know where you are, you suddenly become a solidarity forever. Solidarity with the masses.
Thank you, sir.
So Chuks Moko, publisher, MDG magazine, and social commentator.
Thank you for having me.
Now, where all of this is coming to is, of course, you know, we're trying to, a government initiative, trying to come up with a national, a new living wage. Yeah, let's put it like that, a new living wage. Where are we now? 18,000 or something like that? It's no good. Everybody knows it's not going to work. It doesn't work. It can't work. But Nigerians are so ingenious. We've found ways. Those who are getting 18,000 know one or two things that are being done. Lord knows what it is. So we're moving along, and it's just not satisfactory. But the whole purpose of this hearing is that government itself is aware that it's hardly satisfactory. But what figure should we go to? Now, we've heard anything from what? Something like 113,000 in one case. By the way, it's a tripartite sort of hearing, you know. The labor centers, I think NLC, ULC, TUC, all of that is there, but 66,000 is the way, 66,500 naira is the way one group looks at it. And another group says, you know, if we're going to be realistic here, it has to be 96,000. And that 96,000 we manage. Actually, when we looked at it, it was coming from a higher figure, but we just had to find an average of the three approaches, and that's where we've arrived at 96,000. Let me start from inside the ivory tower, air-conditioned office and all of that. What do you, Austin, think should be the living wage in Nigeria?
Well, Yori, you mentioned everything has to be holistic. And, you know, you can't really isolate. We have to look at the implication. If you ask me, if you can afford 300,000,
okay,
living wage, there's no problem paying it.
But the ability to pay.
The ability to pay and the implication to the economy.
That's what Aregbesola, chairman of a technical committee, Governor Aregbesola, pointed out that, look, we usually talk about the economy and the cost of living, which indeed is as should be. But we also, he counseled, need to keep an eye on the productivity index so that we are sure that we actually will be able to execute and pay whatever is recommended.
Yeah, because one is that how many factories are working? You know, we are deindustrializing rather than industrializing. So, you know, many people are graduating from the university. How many are being employed? Millions are graduating. Okay, look at the youth service, for instance. They had to stagger it, you know, because the economy cannot accommodate the number of people coming out of school. So the issue is, what is government doing in making sure that the economy is productive so that it can accommodate, absorb all these people? The few people that have jobs, and they're asking for an arm and leg. It doesn't make sense, you know, because there are several implications to this. Don't forget, when the oil windfall happened in the early 70s, after the Civil War, Gowon went on a spending spree, constituted the Doji Award, and they paid. If you remember your father or this thing, he bought how many, instead of buying one television set, he had money to buy 10.
No,
you know?
No.
He didn't buy 10.
Don't tell me about Udoji Award. Leave my father out of it. It was me. It was me that chopped Udoji Award. And I remember that time, there's nothing we didn't buy, whether it was standing fan or whether it was national TV set or all sorts of JVC amplifiers. I'm remembering. You're just bringing back memories.
So, but you say that we have
and then we caused inflation. Don't forget, we caused inflation.
That is the point. We have not recovered from that.
That's the 70s, right?
Yeah, 73.
73.
Yes.
Udoji Awards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So labor should not go. There are other things that labor, I keep saying this. What about other non-financial benefits that they can get to cushion? Nigeria, even if we produce, if you're asking for that amount of money, Nigeria cannot compete. Nigerian made products cannot compete out there in the international market. Why is China succeeding? Their product cheap everywhere, you know? Because labor costs is equally low. But the thing is that standard of living must be high. Quality of life must be high. I keep giving this example, Yuri. European workers earn more than American workers. But the standard of living in America is higher than Europe. Why? The same thing, productivity. So that is the point.
Chooks, what's your take on this? Because, you know, when we talk about a living wage, a national minimum wage, it's a figure below which all reasonable people know nobody can survive. So let's agree that, let's have a fresh agreement, seems to be this initiative, on what that figure is, below which we cannot reasonably expect a person to be able to, you know, do the necessaries.
I don't have an answer for what a minimum wage should be. I don't understand.
Because it has to be worked out.
Yes, because, I mean, try and work out your personal retirement plan.
It's tough.
How much it will cost you in the month of May, you and your family to live. Let's not even bother about your family. You as an individual to live in the next 30 days. That's how it's done in other spheres. If I want to calculate my retirement plan, I need to work out how much it will cost me to live in the next 30 days, multiply by 12 months of the year, then be able to work out maybe 20 years or 30 years that I have to live, you know, from now until I'm maybe 80 and all that. But uniquely, Nigeria's situation is completely different. Because, look, our economy is built on extractive industry. This minimum wage thing, I have no idea as I sit down here on what I can recommend or what has been suggested, how it can carry you or carry me. I don't know how viable that is. So first, this is why there's high corruption. Because people want to earn 96,000 naira. People are already earning 18,000 naira. The truth of the matter is, how have you been surviving? Because you know that it's not 18,000 naira that you've been surviving on.
No.
So we need to establish that. So why do you take a job where you're going to be paid 18,000 naira? That is number one. Number two, for me, this is what usually gives rise to mobility of labor in a normal society. Like you heard me say that Nigeria is a very unique situation. Now, if you go abroad, you hear people pronounce, oh, I'm a government worker. They are proud to tell you, I'm a government worker, so I don't have money. What do they have? They have compassionate leadership that provides the basics for them. That is what is lacking here. If, like you guys cited the Udoji example, if they were compassionate enough to provide housing, provide transportation, work out food production, and citizens are patriotic enough, we won't be here speaking about minimum wage today. So the problem is going to be ongoing in this country because we have not addressed the issues of housing. If the civil servant who is earning 18,000 naira has access to transportation to work and back, is short of food, is short of housing, is short of light, is short of education, what does he need an increment for? Now, that only happens in a place where you have compassionate leadership, that we have earned this money from whatever business that we do, and we're going to provide massive housing. I enjoyed free education during the Awolowo and Ambrose and Lee collaboration in the Dembende state. Towards the end of my career, schooling in secondary school, I had free books, I had everything that I needed, including eraser and pencil. That is no more. So I could take my stuff and just go to school. You know, and it's occurring to me that as you are speaking, I just look at people who are in the minimum wage cadre. I see that, would you believe some of them want what
the rest of us also want.
Absolutely.
For instance, this whole matter of schooling, you just talked about free education. I have seen somebody who is on a minimum wage and he's doing everything to put his kid in a private primary or nursery school. And I'm wondering, wait a minute, how did we arrive here? On how much? But then he's going to do the necessary, come and, Oga, now, you know, a man no never work or whatever. He's going to do that for 30 days, borrow money, cajole from here.
Paying you 300,000 naira per month as minimum wage is not a problem to me. But what has happened is that these guys who are making this demand are not aware that the current president in South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, started out his career as a labor leader. Today he has so many viable enterprises where he's chairman, including one of the biggest telecommunication company in Nigeria. He has so many businesses where he's employing people. What are they doing? You talked about factories in Nigeria. It is the same Nigerian problem that led in the era where they used to bid for foreign exchange. You've forgotten? But I will remind you, there was a time in this country, if you owned a factory, the Nigerian Manufacturers Association got a very special, you know, whatever it is, but in Buhari's, Babangida's administration, they gave them money. Instead of manufacturing and producing, they were importing. That was the era where people started sending their children abroad with the same foreign exchange. That's why they have lost their voices. Because that organization used to be a very powerful organization. No government made a decision without inviting them. But what happened? Their factories collapsed. Production dwindled. People lost their jobs. So you have mosques and churches taking over those factories. Well, nobody ever refers to that era where people who were trusted with our foreign exchange, people who had factories, viable businesses, killed those businesses because we're not just committed to productivity and wealth creation.
Now, all of what you've just said, all of what, you know, Chuks has just said is indeed, you know, it is the case. But at the ongoing hearing, I think it's a two-day event, yesterday and today. You know, the case is being made that, for example, those who are pushing 66,500 are saying that, look, this is reasonable. Without prejudice to all that Chuks has narrated, if a government is serious, it can still, if it's serious and responsible and responsive, it can manage that 66,500.
I wouldn't pay you 66,500.
Okay.
Because of the implication to the entire economy.
Oh, don't forget that that is not the higher figure. That is the lower. Yet another group is asking, as I was saying before, asking for what? 96,000.
You are saying that
66.5, you are not even paying that.
At all. If I have to pay, I'll pay probably the maximum I can pay is between 20 and 25,000. But I will do several things.
So you think that is being realistic, being not pandering to the crowd?
Because once you pay 66,000, the tomato seller,
of course,
will jack up.
That's another problem.
Molue will jack up their transport.
Will say, there's nobody to pay me my minimum wage, so I'm taking it from you.
Yes.
And then
so it makes nonsense. Inflation will just wipe off that money you're being paid.
So these are things that those at that hearing are fully aware of. How they negotiate their way to, I don't think anybody is going to accept from them that at the end of the day, so therefore, guys, let's stay at 18,000. Maybe let me just put 2,000 on top, let it become 20,000.
Yeah, so that at least to say that, look, but I will do several things. You know, I don't even need...
You as government?
Yes, me as government.
Mm-hmm. You will do several things.
Yeah,
and it's all about the enabling environment that people talk about.
I will create the enabling environment. What I will also do is, look, they have not considered the small businesses that actually the job creators of the economy. The small businesses, how many of them can pay? You know how much they pay for power? For you to produce, to manage, to run a business, you provide your own power. Because power alone constitutes between 65 and 85% of the manufacturing component. How many small businesses can pay? But I would say, guys, let's take 20,000. But again, I will create the enabling environment, make sure that the transportation, just like Lagos is doing and all that, so that it can be discounted and all that.
Yeah,
and then carpooling, and I give access.
These things you're talking about, you can't do it in a week or two.
No.
So this is part of the problem.
long term. That's why
It's
I said
a long term.
Yes.
But in the meantime, the guy who is on 18,000, he's not seeing, he has to be patient. And you know, that's one thing that our people don't have.
It's not only government. Now, I wouldn't even do it in general. I say, okay, this is minimum wage. Whatever you can pay, pay. But I would do what one country did. You know, whatever the small private sector can pay, if they assess your business as a private person, and you cannot pay more than up to the minimum wage, government will say, okay, look, I'll pay the difference. If you can only pay 18,000, government will add the 22,000 on top to make sure that you earn that minimum wage. But is government willing to do that? Would the private sector, how many, do we have the capacity to assess, you know, how the financial capacity of the small businesses? Government is only interested in taxes. So, pay your tax because you people are asking them what they do with the oil money.
Yes.
And then they're asking for taxes.
There's an existing model here in Lagos that would have been copied. Look, in 2010, I went to Ilupeju here and invited the family of Jakonde that we wanted to talk to them about what the man had done. So we gave him the Compassionate Prize and the MDG Awards. In Lagos here, Jakonde became governor just for a few years. But he left a model that has been abandoned by successive governments. Here, what did he do? In 1979, 1980, and all that, if you came to Lagos, it was chaotic. Why? Children went to school in the morning, and by 1 p.m., another set of children went to school. He came, he changed that. It was the same model that Awolowo introduced at the time that was in Bender State that he was running here. He started building schools. Now, these children who were going to schools in the morning and in the afternoon, because they were doing morning and afternoon shift, every time they were going to school, they were carrying benches on their heads. I saw it. Now, that was in 1981. I saw those things here. But he became governor and he changed all of that. What did he do? He went into the schools and started raising these, you know, small walls, plastering the place. First step, returning the children to school in the mornings. What was the next thing that he did? He started constructing gutters. The third thing he did, he started building this, what I call basic housing. Go all over Lagos. They are all standing there. Nobody had deemed it fit to emulate him. Now, how he took care of the minimum wage, I didn't know. But if you had basic housing and your children had access to education, go and ask people who had children
you see,
at the time.
Government even doesn't even have to invest in these housings. It could be provide the guarantees that private sector needs for these houses to be...
the transportation system that he wanted was aborted, but you know what I'm saying? The concept of what the man did...
Nobody could continue from there.
It was abandoned.
Yes, which is the problem we have.
Everything he planned, if that government had been allowed to live out that you know, his term and all that, Lagos would have become better than you know, what it is. But what I'm just saying in effect is that you need compassionate leadership in that form. That because what he presented to us at the time was compassion. You need to be compassionate towards your people, not just in giving them money, but providing comfort and infrastructure for them for easy movement and all that.
What we have,
What?
Pardon my language,
Yes.
is wicked rulers. They don't care about anybody but themselves. Because otherwise,
that
they
charge has been laid.
Yeah,
you know,
these are
often
lofty,
people.
So people will be proud to serve their state. Like I told you, I mean, I go out and people say, oh, I meet people and say, oh, I'm a government worker. In America, American citizens tell you, I work in, you know, home security. You see them all over the place with uniform, and they are proud. They tell you with their mouth that they don't have money. You know what? There are other things that they have. They're glad to serve their nation.
There's a safety net. There's a social net.
That's why I said that I wouldn't even bother.
Because when you have our young people looking for work in different places, their motivation is completely different.
But you see,
it's an access to...
Going back to what Austin said, if only you are going to do all of those things, our leaders through the ages have not always kept faith with the people. They make these promises, quieten them down, life then returns to normal, and then all those things that quieten them down, they don't actually deliver. They now begin to talk about priorities and let me quickly get hold of this. And before you know, just looking at the tail lights of that particular
because
idea.
there is horizontal accountability, but there's no vertical accountability. Once there's vertical accountability, without being harassed with the police or army, if you ask for, why is government doing this, then they will sit up.
There's a sense in which all of what you're saying now, well, it's known to those at this hearing. In fact, government initiated this whole thing. So all of this is known to them, and yet they're still taking a stab at it, which is commendable. It's commendable that they're bringing it up in the midst of all the other problems. They realize that
because
is
you
why
can't start what is not sustainable if you're responsible.
Well, I was going to say...
So it's political, as far as I'm concerned, to quieten everybody by taking the decision to you to say, okay, before you come and start this your riotous discussion, let me come to you and all that, which for me is a good strategy, but...
No, it's not a good strategy if it's deceptive.
Yes.
So
it's deceptive?
We have to say that, I think we have to assume that government is sincere in wanting to be transparent about it. Come, let's dialogue together. Let's bring out all the facts and all the figures. And so if we will then together know that you can't have what they have in America, but within the limits of what we are, you can have this. Let's agree that.
But if they are sincere enough, they should be proactive. They shouldn't wait for labor to remind them. They shouldn't know. There are some of the embassies there in Lagos here. They send people out to gauge the inflation, this thing, so that they know their workers how to cushion the impact of that this thing for their staff. So government knows that all this. They don't go to market.
We always talk about this.
They import all the things they eat.
Anyway.
But the point is that the sensitive government, a compassionate government, like he said, would be more proactive to know that, hey, the citizens, they go through all this thing, and before they do it, they may begin to make adjustments, rather than waiting for labor to remind them.
But in fairness, I hear you. I don't contradict anything, but in fairness, this particular administration, it's commendable. I think that it is bringing this whole matter up. You are saying it's a device. You are saying it's a device to sort of foreclose on you when they now want to come. But okay, that's maybe one way to look at it, but I'm sure that's not the way government is looking at it. Let's just give them the benefit of doubt. In any case, it's ongoing.
It's a good thing that at least
they're talking.
They're engaging the labor and all that.
What sort of conclusion they arrive at very, very shortly when they finish today. Let's leave this in. Let's suspend this one for the moment. The other, because that's what we've been doing.
Your address is solidarity.
That's what we've been
labor,
doing. Let's now come. I don't know if we can come to. Let me come to your dressing now, because it's all about the rules, rule of law, the whole convention about separation of power and all of that. I'm talking here about that Super Tucano military aircraft that the president reportedly has made a down payment on. And this has infuriated the National Assembly at the House of Representatives. How can you do that? This is not a dictatorship. You cannot put money, you cannot spend money that has not been appropriated for, and all of that and all of that. In fact, it's an impeachable offense, so they are saying. So, well, there's a lot of noise. People are hot under the collar. The National Assembly is being conciliatory, if you ask me, because right now they are saying, look, guys, can we just cool temper a bit? Maybe you can go into the archives and see if there's a precedent, emergencies, and all of that. So that's what they're looking at. Let's not just jump down the throat of this particular thing. Let me start with Chooks this time. Let me start with you, this one.
I think that was a smart move that they made and all that, because you see, when you are...
Which one is smart? The president... quickly paying this thing and then writing them afterwards. Is that the smart move? Or the National Assembly saying, look, don't burn the whole house down? The
National Assembly saying, look, don't burn down the whole house. As far as I'm concerned, that was a smart move. Okay. Because you see, let them not constantly start what they can't finish. Let them not constantly not start what they cannot finish. Because I like the silence of the president, sometimes towards some of these things, because if you have attended a moral high ground school, you know that silence is a very powerful tool to use. When these busybots doing nothing, people are just constantly raising dust over what? Of course, what caused problem between Amechi and former President Jonathan? He was constantly dipping his hands into this account and was taking money and all that. You've forgotten when he was chairman of a PDP Governors Forum, when he was governor of a Governors Forum in Nigeria, Their spat was majorly predicated on the fact that he was taking money from that account. But this man has sent you a letter. You read a letter that is well couched, where he gave you a reason for what he now did and all that. And number one, you want to go to the archives to go and check whether there's a precedent. That is why it is wrong to give or to demonstrate bad examples. If you're a parent, I'm a parent, it's wrong.
Okay.
If you're a political leader, don't show bad examples.
Okay.
Because people will always follow. PDP has shown bad enough example for generations of leaders that will come and rule us in future to follow.
And it can be perpetuated.
Yes.
Zim, good morning and thank you for holding on. Zim in, what, is it Lekki or VI?
Hello?
Good morning, Zim.
Good morning.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Which topic did you want to?
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. You want which one? Which comment?
I want to contribute to this wonderful program.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, your guests that have been so brilliant in their analysis.
Okay. So you're talking about.
Hello?
Yes, you're talking about the living wage.
Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, looking at what is happening in this country. You see, our government, they don't want to develop this country. And they know it. They don't want the masses of this country to benefit from the Nigerian economy. Let me give you an instance.
Isn't that a bit emotional?
No, it is not, sir.
You know, no government can come and not want the people to have an improved conditions of living.
Let me give you an instance, sir.
Okay.
It's not about coming out to tell us that you want to do this, that you want to do that. At the end of the day, nothing is done. Just look at what we are debating on there, minimum wages. I've been telling you that there is no point to increase salary of workers. It makes no sense. Because when you increase, everything will also be increased at the same time. Labor, Congress, or Labor, they keep going on strike because they increase fuel pump price. Why can't they go on strike? Because there's no light in this country. If they shut this economy for 1 week because there's no light, this country will be improved. I want to start a business now, but I'm afraid because I can't be running generator every now and then. So what we're saying is let them see how they can revive Nigeria. We have everything that we need to be a great nation. Somebody don't need to earn 100,000 before you live a good life. You can earn 20,000 naira. You have all that you need. You don't like what the other
Dr. Nweze has explained.
Dr. Nweze says.
Yes.
He has made a very vital point. Open the economy. Give us light. Give us good road. Give us an enable environment. People will develop themselves. We don't need to depend on government to give us money. We don't need to depend on government to give you everything. Make the environment very, very conducive. And I can tell you, Nigerians, you will see Nigerians flourishing. People talk to us anywhere in the world because they know that though we have what it takes, but our governments are demoting us.
Okay, but Zim,
Yeah.
in the light of what you are saying, would you be recommending that they just wind up this whole hearing and concentrate on what you are talking about? Don't bother, don't waste time trying to give people a higher living wage. Just do all these other things that you are saying, and even the 18,000 will, in value, do more than it is doing right now. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Let me give you an instance. Yesterday, I dropped 35,000 naira to my wife.
Yes.
To buy some things.
Yes.
Could you believe that 35,000 naira couldn't buy anything? I now convert it at 1,000 to $1. You know how much it gave me? About 12 million naira. If it's $35,000 to naira, about 12 million naira.
Okay, you know what? I'm sorry, I got to go on a break. We'll continue this after the break. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back. So we started off our subject program today. We started off with the whole ongoing hearing for a national minimum wage, and we sort of left that, so we'll come back to it when we have something, maybe a communique will be released. But we're now looking at the other pressing matter, which is what the House of Representatives is calling an illegality, the action of the president in putting a down payment on a Super Tucano military aircraft. The president has written a letter to the the House of Representatives, to National Assembly, explaining, but there are those who are outraged that, look, strictly speaking, we've been messed with. You can't do what has been done. You can't spend money that was not appropriated for. But they're saying that every situation has its explanation. And so emergency is what we're considering, that the president would know. Yes, he's subject to the rules. His powers are not limitless. He is, however, a military officer, a retired military officer. He knows what is required. Why he now went ahead and did it in the order in which it has been done is what we're going to be managing now. But the interesting thing is that the House is conciliatory, if you ask me. They are saying that, suffering. Yes. We understand it's not entirely kosher, but, let's tread softly on this. This is good, I think.
It's good.
This is good.
And it's the way to go. Because you see, maybe because of the age of the young people who are constantly throwing themselves up in that National Assembly.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
I'm a citizen of this
representative is a representative.
No,
whether it's 22 or he can't be 22. Whether it's 27 or 87.
These young people, we've discussed youth and leadership on this program.
Okay.
The disadvantage is what we're dealing with. You have young people who just don't get it all the time.
Yeah,
but there are elders in the place.
I'm not sure we can make that argument if we're going
it's
to...
not an argument. I'm expressing my opinion.
Okay.
Because we have people like David Mark there. These young people have silenced them. Abdullahi is there. And these other gentlemen there. But you have Dino Milai, you have Saraki, you have Barry Bay and other. And by the way, age is just a number. You need to constantly exhibit. When democracy, so what? The core values by which we existed can uniquely sustain our democracy. You must check what you do and what you say. Look,
the president can't be acting based on a bunch of youths who don't understand the issue, so that I'm going to go ahead and do this, and we'll sort it out later on.
I'm not supporting the president in, assaulting the Constitution. But what I'm saying is that if a letter is brought to you, you read the letter, the different paragraphs, and understand it. But they just walk the right path when somebody is saying to them, you know what, we need to calm down.
Yes.
Because you see, when you act in anger, in greed, in laziness, in all of that combining against you, come on, you will not get it right. You're defending them. They are not representing us well.
Democracy.
Because
really defending them, I'm just looking to say that nobody can be denigrated. In fact,
I'm not denigrating. I'm just saying to you that the characters we've seen in that place does not depict the maturity that is expected of people who sit in the Senate chamber.
In any democracy, you expect this, some kind of vibrancy.
Yes.
Otherwise, what we have today, this nation is being run like administrators in administrative, not democracy.
I'm sorry, I'm going to let you continue. Let me bring in Samson, calling in from Warri. Good morning, Samson.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling.
Good morning, our guest.
Yes.
Morning.
Yes, Uncle Yori, please, before I go into the real story, please, I have a very strong message. And God said I should reveal it. Even that's what I'm saying, I'm supposed to travel now. And I want to say it so that everybody can listen. I had a dream. And during my dream, God revealed, I don't dream anyhow, but once I dream, I recall it happens. Revealed that federal government should just obey the court order and release exactly. He said this killing will stop under 2 weeks.
Okay, that's the dream. Thank you very much for sharing that dream. Now, going on to the main subject. Have you gone? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You're there. Thank you. Now,
the other one. Our minimum wage, Uncle Yori.
Okay.
That's not the ethic, sir. The basic thing we have to understand is about let them give us good infrastructure.
Okay.
They should do the needful. Because let me tell you, if you give us 50,000 minimum wage, market woman are waiting for you.
Yes.
Your landlady, your landlord are waiting for you. Yeah, it's going to come back then. Then when they pass the budget, do the needful, infrastructural amenities, good roads, electricity being constant, every other thing. You can even give up that, but even 20,000 minimum wage, everything will be okay.
Okay.
That's my own submission. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in. Everybody seems to be saying that because it stands to reason, really. You put money on top of what we have now.
Yes.
It's going to be chaotic because everybody is going to take it away from you again, and you're going to be no better off than before. And the whole supporting environment has not changed.
Yeah.
So now you'll be worse off, actually.
That's right.
You'll be worse off than before you started. Okay, this is the way it is. People are going, they're pulling us back because at that time, maybe we didn't open the phones, I don't know, but they're going back to what we started off with. Why? Thank you for letting us know your comment, but because it's an ongoing conversation that they are having right now, the hearing is ongoing as we speak, we sort of left that. And now coming on to what the House of Representatives has, at least one member there has referred to it as an illegality, and we've put it in context of what's going on. We're talking about a almost $500 million military aircraft. It must be, it must be that it is needed very urgently, and they are actually in the National Assembly, at least the leadership is looking at this and saying that, guys, just chill a bit, we'll sort all of this out.
Yeah, because because these National Assembly members, they have been so kind. Don't forget when Obasanjo was there, how vibrant the National Assembly was. Impeachment threat here and there. Nobody has threatened. This is the first time, this president is being threatened. He's running the state like an administrator. And we're in a democracy. It shouldn't be so. Is it not the same thing Dasuki
I thought you were going to
gets?
say that this particular instance would point towards what you've said.
That's
not
the
that
point.
it's an ongoing, this is his character.
No, because one is that it's not the same Dasuki gate. What the previous administration was accused of, and I think that's what the National Assembly people are trying to prevent. Even then, that money, even though it was urgent, but the National Assembly approved it. How urgent can it be that you cannot go through? I mean, he has. Okay. That's why when I said that the National Assembly has been so cooperative. There's nothing he brought to the National Assembly, the president executive brought to the National Assembly that they did not quickly approve of. And this is a security matter.
Okay. Elijah in Abuja, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I can hear you.
So can we. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
The last guy that called before. Good morning.
Morning.
There is a guy that called before the last person, and the guy that called before this last person called. The guy is making points, and you don't allow the guy to say the thing before you people go to marketing. Why?
Which point are you talking about? Quickly explain yourself, please.
Okay, Zim.
What
Talk about Zim.
What is the point? Go on. Put it out there yourself.
Let him turn off his TV.
Look, what that guest did was that he was trying to listen to himself on television as he was phoning, and that was causing all sorts of delays. By all means, we want to hear from you, but you've got to kill the volume of your TV set altogether. Otherwise, it'll become the mess that it was. So sorry about that. But he was saying that Zim was making a point, I believe.
Yeah.
And Zim
went on break.
Yes. Oh, okay, we went on break.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay, the other, not
so
Zim, the
that
other
is,
fellow.
that is the dictator.
Yeah.
We are Democrats. Time is a dictator.
Yeah.
There's no argument when your producer tells you to go on break. So I did a compromise of, fine, the dictator producer has ordered us off on break. Yeah. But I said, however, when we come back, we'll continue this. Just so you understand it, I'm sorry.
He didn't hold on.
Yes, but we didn't get that guest back, that caller back. If we did, we would have continued. So I take the point that you are making, but I wanted you to understand that we are not shutting anybody up. The almighty dictator time is what caused it. So, That's
The
the point.
other aspect that, we'll finish with that matter. So I thought we were still talking about the labor.
Because the things are going into it.
No, but the point is that the National Assembly tried to, to prevent some kind of dictatorial tendencies.
Yes.
That, look, we're supposed to appropriate this, at least
yes.
let us know before, before this thing.
In fact,
but you did not.
In fact, I don't know. I'm going to see how they sort this whole thing out because, and this is, it's very good.
Are they going to sort it? You have a letter addressed to you explaining
the situation.
Let
me quickly bring in Andy. I don't know what Andy wants to talk about. Andy is in the UK. Good morning, Andy.
Everything.
Good morning, Uncle Jolie.
Yori, thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead, Andy.
I want to contribute this morning. I salute your guest. My contribution today will be about the involvement of the National Assembly challenging the executive.
Okay.
First, I wanted to say that for us, first, that people always like to run down our Senate, the National Assembly, because of the people in there, forgetting that they were the institution and equal arm of the government, not just before or smaller. They are equal part of the government. Now, my point is, since this administration, they have done this as part of their oversight functions, to check the excesses of the executive.
Yes.
And your guest there was referring that the president wrote a letter. The date on the letter does not correspond to the date the U.S. Department confirmed receipt of payment. And they were right in saying that the president have enough time to check with them because the Constitution is, just like the Americans said, your house must approve this before we approve at our head. Then when the House of Assembly in America approved it, the president needs to come back to the House for them to approve the payment. It wouldn't have been a problem. And this is a government that comes on the mantra of transparency and due diligence. It does not mean that we should give the man an excuse because we like his personality. This is about the Constitution and it's about the tomorrow action. Just like the lecturer said, it's about the legacy we are going to leave for tomorrow, not because it has been doing wrongly. Obasanjo accessed the account, Jonathan did, Yar'Adua did. When is it going to stop? When are we going to be serious about governance in this country?
All right.
I'm sick and tired of people running down the House of Assembly.
Okay, Andy. Thank you very much.
We will continue to run them down until they begin to display the same level of transparency and integrity in fixing their wages, in telling us for 19 years how much they are earning. It took one sane person called signing whatever to come and tell us how much they're earning. It's been buried in secrecy. That is number one. Number two, this man just called from London. In the House of Commons, if you check the personalities that sit in the British House of Commons, check their fathers, they started Unilever. Check their fathers, they started in 1793 industries. What do they have in the United Kingdom? No oil, no whatever.
But there are also young people in their own House of Commons too.
Go and check their father's pedigree. They got to where they are through their father's pedigree. They went to Eton College. So you follow that pattern. So when they resign or they leave parliament, or like Cameron resigned from being a prime minister, he goes back to his generational business. That is what he should be telling us to implement here. These guys have sat on us for how many years?
Okay.
Collecting 13.something million naira since 1999.
Yes.
Collecting all kinds of emolument, collecting money for clothing. Who they buy my own clothes for me?
But I don't believe the expression is running down. We're not running. You're not running them down. You're being critical.
I'm being critical.
You're being critical.
I'm saying that they should go and create wealth.
Okay.
And start businesses and employ people.
One moment, please. I'm coming to you, Doctor. Mazi Okorafor, good morning.
Good morning, Sayuri. Good morning, our guests in the studio. Good morning.
Mazi Okorafor, good morning.
Yes, Sayuri and our guests. We need the jet because if you read all about that jet, Nigerian government should start using it because all the components, all the facilities with it in terms of fighting, in terms of war, at least such jets were used in Afghanistan and Pakistan. If you take those things, you know, the jet is in order. But to Canada jet, I feel that the president rushed in question. You see, what we should take into consideration if the way we rush in approving that buying jets, we use it in settling all this our medical personnel that are on strike that affects the masses to help. But the question is this: the National Assembly issue we are talking is this about this issue of the complaint. If the National Assembly will reduce the number of their holidays every time go on holiday, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it will help them so that they will sit down and do the job and monitor what is happening in Nigeria. But every time you see they proceed on holiday, and this holiday, it stops things. Because even as a businessman, they are doing every 2 days holiday alone affects their business. But in the National Assembly, which they are sit down and for the interest of the masses that voted them in, every time you're on. Now look at this. When you just play your TVC, the number of National Assembly, how many of them are there in that assembly? And they collect their money, their allowance every day. Where are they? The seats they are empty. Both the House of Rep and the Senate. He said how it's supposed to be. And these people are supposed to sit down and do the job they are being paid for. Sit down and do the job they can pay for. At the end of the day, it is the masses that is suffering. You have not the doctors are on strike. You see how people are dying every day for keep our back secured by the side. What is happening now? What is happening with our nurses that are on strike and people who don't have money to go to private hospitals to pay 5,000 consultation? What is happening? This is what we have to address now. Thank you very much. Have a blessed and a successful weekend.
Thank you very much, Mazi
No,
Okorafor.
if you ask me, Yuri, we should just crash this democracy. We can see it's not working at all.
So, what is the alternative to democracy?
We will come.
We will come with where Austin, you have come.
We'll get there. I have a blueprint.
You are among those who were saying that nothing, there's no alternative to democracy when we didn't have democracy.
No. You know,
now we have democracy, you are saying it's not working.
It's not because check anywhere in the world where this liberal democracy we pretend to practice, it has never developed an economy. That is what you use to sustain a developed economy. Even then, Yuri, even the National Assembly people, I don't blame them. It's a system. You're cozy in your cozy office and wearing my nice suit. I'm afraid of going to contest election, to join to make a difference. We don't have a critical mass of good people out there. Because when we were in the trenches...
you are afraid to go and contest election. Fayose is not afraid to go and contest election.
No, I'm just saying I have
I just saw the difference.
Yeah.
Because one, apparently, according to what they are saying, is able to just connect with the very base of the pyramid.
Yes.
And some are able to connect only with the pinnacle of the pyramid.
No, because one is that if we, the elites, the professional elite, the good people...
Yes.
We take off our nice suits.
And roll up your sleeves.
Roll up our sleeves and go and contest election and change these people in the National Assembly,
yes.
You know, and then bring down because, you know, you said that, okay,
yes.
they're earning so much and all that.
But
we are being ruled by poor people. That's why it's poor people. The point he's making is that there's no poor man that is in the parliament in Britain because they all have history, they have pedigree. Who is your father? Where is he coming from?
You went to a certain college.
You know, that kind of a thing. We are being ruled by poor people.
And so you get something of a poor mentality, right?
Yeah, that's why there's corruption.
Okay.
So that poverty mentality is there.
Well, that's an idea. That's an idea. Let's see what Oluyemi in Ijebu-Ode thinks of the idea. Good morning, Mr. Oluyemi. Is it a Miss or Mr.? Mrs.?
Good morning, Uncle Yuri.
It's a Mr. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I want to participate in the speak of the National Assembly.
Sure thing. We'd like to have you.
Issues.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. What I will say basically at the National Assembly that are talking right now, they don't have the moral right to say what they are saying. Trying to correct the president is doing something illegal. What have they been doing since they got there?
Two wrongs don't make a right now. Sorry, sir. How about the idea of the two wrongs not making a right? Because
that's all. I understand that.
And you also agree that the president cannot spend money that has not been appropriated for.
I understand.
You understand that? Okay.
Everything is not written on a stone.
Okay.
Circumstances makes things happen. The president says emergency happens. In their own case, when they are stealing the money and they are not telling us what they're using the money for, starting point something million every month, they are not talking about that. Many things they are doing there. Now they want to be holier than thou. That state president is doing something illegal. What about them? The majority of them are not they don't have moral right to say anything about this, what is happening right now.
All right. All
well,
right.
Yes, what the president did in the time of spending the money, technically it's not right. But morally, I think it's right.
All right.
It's saving the life for the people of the people.
Thank you very, very much for calling in. This is a problem here, and we've got to be focused. Do we want to play by the rules or not? Mr. Luyemi just said technically it was wrong.
Integrity is
morally, I don't know.
The reason integrity is very essential in life is what is playing out. Look, the president of the Senate is a medical doctor from what I hear. He's worked in the banks. Savannah Bank, Trade Bank was an original Kwara State bank. His family owned Kwara State.
Did you mean Societe Generale?
Societe Generale.
Not Savannah.
No, not Savannah Bank. I'm sorry about that. Societe Generale. Then I don't think he practiced medicine. If he practiced, I'm not aware. But he worked in the bank, rose to the highest level, moved on. They had a localized bank called Trade Bank. From there, he became governor and all that and all that. Follow these threads.
So he's not a poor man.
Hold on. If you
Austin was saying we are ruled by poor men.
Can I feel?
Yes.
When you follow this man's track, I describe the track as very destructive track.
Okay.
So when you now sit as a Senate president, your integrity, even your conscience and your integrity are fighting war inside you. All the things that he has acquired in his young life, does he really merit it? So now, because he's the way he is, he suspects everybody to be a thief. It can't work. Talking about democracy, China, as large and as populated as they are stable. You know what they have there? It's called fascism. They just had an election where they gave mandate to their premier for life. In Russia, they're stable. They don't have extractive industry. Our problem, like I've stated on this chair before, is that our economy is built on extractive industry. Everybody wants a share, plus the Agbero that is at Ojota bus stop, and plus the Agbero that is inside Lagos. Everybody wants a share of it. And that is why our country is the way it is.
Okay.
That's why Venezuela is the way it is. That's why Sierra Leone is the way it is. That's why these people that just, Liberia is the way it is. We need to begin to think.
Let me understand what Austin meant when he said this democracy is not working, and you were
it's
going
not
to
working.
Very, very briefly, because we've run out of time. So what could we do?
We have.
Okay. You see now, they say Godi is in Italy and wants to come in on the program. Godi, Italy. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning to you, Uncle Yori, and your panelists.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
I know you're running out of your time, but I quickly want to chip in here, Uncle Yori.
Sure.
See, first of all, we have to build an institution that works. That is exactly what we expected from this government. Start somewhere. The president just values the law. We should accept this. It doesn't happen in anywhere in the world. Okay, why the president now have not declared state of emergency on education, on hospitals, and bad roads all over the country? Why this one now? We should build an institution. We should start somewhere. When somebody is wrong, we should say, let's stop accusing, pointing finger on the House of Assembly. We don't even talk about the governor. There are houses of assembly in the state. What the executive, what do they receive? The minister. Do we know? Why are we pointing hands on the Senate alone?
All right then. Thank you very much.
We can do without the Senate.
Yes,
maybe just 10 seconds.
Yes. Alexis Tocqueville, I think, was the one that advised Americans when they gained independence. Said, look, forget what Britain is doing, forget what France is doing. Build your constitution, put it in a gold chair, worship that constitution. Nobody's above the law.
Okay.
Rule of law is about democracy.
Yes.
And that's why that's why Trump is even going what he's going through now, because rule of law must prevail. Anywhere there's no respect for the rule of law, there's trouble. And there's trouble in Nigeria because we don't obey rule of law.
Okay, that's a thought to, mull over. Thank you very much. I don't have time to carry it any further, but thank you very much, Chuks Nwoko, publisher, MDG Cho, Golan social commentator. Thank you, as always, Dr. Austin Wednesday, Pan Atlantic University. That's our program for today, and, just hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you, God willing, on Monday at 10:30 with the beginning of the new week of programs. I'm Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.